I was born on the 11th of June 1943 at the end of the war to Kingsley Harold King and Connie Donovan being my parents. The whole way through my life I just took things, I guess, because I believed I deserved them. My mother left me when I was a baby. I was about 2 years old that I can remember. My dad brought me to my grandma's, being his mother. When I was 10 years old and I was sitting in the bath and I'd got into trouble for something, and I turned around and said to my grandma, "I'm going to go and find my mother." And she told me that sometimes some stones were better left unturned. As I grew up, I was told that my mother was an alcoholic. So that just went out of my mind, I guess. What I thought, what you haven't had, you don't miss. But how wrong that is, because that really affects your life. All through my life I was pulled backwards and forwards between my dad and my grandparents. I ended up staying with my dad and his wife, and we moved to a place in Aldgate where that is where I have to thank my father, that he took us to Sunday school. He started embedding in me the seed that has grown over the years without me even knowing it. We went to Sunday school and church. Living with my dad and his new wife, I believed it was exciting. It was my dad. I was with my dad, finally with my dad. But all I seemed to be getting was, I feared. I never ever believed that I was a naughty little girl. I was too scared to be naughty. Even with the abuse I had from my stepmother, she would beat me for nothing, for things that others did. I got the blame. One night I was out collecting wood and I seen this car pull up, and it was my grandfather. And an excitement from a little girl would want to run to their grandpa. And you know, people that had been in my life, you know, I would want to run, but for the fear that I would have hiding, because I ran to my grandfather, because I might be telling him something like the abuse that I was getting, was the fear, held the fear in me. So I sneaked down the back way with the wood and came in the back door and went to bed. And later on in the night I got woken up by my dad asking me did I want to go and live with my grandparents. He asked me, and I said yeah, because I love my grandma. My grandma never used to beat me, you know. My father gave me one hiding in my life, and I will never forget that, because I hadn't been a naughty girl. But I just went along with it, you know, said nothing, didn't put my foot out of line, because I was too fearful to put my foot out of line. And I went back to my grandma. Over all this time, I just took stuff because I believed I deserved it. I ask now, what did I do wrong to have all this happen to me in my short time in my life? Why had I been abused? Why was I beaten for something that I didn't do? When I was 12 and a half, I was molested. I put that to the back of my mind till just recently, and God brought it to the front, because now was when I had to deal with it. 14 and a half it was, and I was raped. Well, I didn't tell anybody because I didn't believe I had to tell anybody. Yeah, it's fine, it's, you know, it's Barbara. Come have another go, you know. I understand now when God's telling me that I am worth my worth. He's showing me that I am worth more than what I've had. You know, I know that now. In 1961 I married Donald, and we had 5 children, 4 who were living. Daryl, the eldest. My grandparents had brought me up, and I wanted them to enjoy my kids how my grandma had enjoyed me. And looking back, I probably married Donald for all the wrong reasons. Donald had an accident. He used to be a rigger and he fell off Holden's roof. And later on down the track, a few years down the track, everything fell apart because from this accident, he used to drink before, but drinking then was different. That's when all the abuse happened, physical, mental. And again, I just took on the role of being a mother and a father to my children. Things happened with us that I used to not tell anybody. I suppose that was a thing. I used to be secretive. I never lied about it, but I never spoke about it. I lost a little boy at 8.5 months pregnant. So I guess I felt inadequate. It was something that I wondered why God did this. Probably one of my most devastating things that happened in my life was I lost my grandma. The only thing that I knew to be Mum. And she, in her time with me, had taken me to Sunday school and church, and even back then, not realising it, the seed was growing. Grandpa found out that he had prostate cancer, so then I was nursing him, had a baby that wouldn't sleep at night, as well as 2 other children, and then when he was in hospital, running backwards and forwards, and then in the July of the same year, I lost him. So I was out on a limb with 3 children, a husband that drank and was abusive. I'd had enough with the debt that had been created and the drinking and the being abused mentally and physically. I had had enough. I walked. I took my youngest son and I walked. In 1973, in July, I met John, and later on moved in with him, and down the track we had a daughter, Donna. John was a good man, but the same old thing started all over again. Alcohol, right? Alcohol. I never looked at the alcohol as being a problem until till Donna was about 16, and we had a pretty good life till then. We never did lots of things because we had 4 kids, because my eldest went to live with his dad and his nana. My 2 boys, my eldest and my youngest, gave their heart to the Lord. But that wasn't for me. I was too busy. I was too busy looking after kids, going to work to pay bills. Yeah, I was just too busy. While I was in Perth, John moved out. And when I came home, I was devastated and I had a nervous breakdown. From then on, gradually, along the way, things changed, but nothing changes unless you want it to. You can sit and live a life of crap. Then one day I got a visit from my brother, and he shared something with me about how his marriage was on the rocks, and how overnight God had turned it around. And I just looked at him and I said, don't try to get me to go to church. One day I said to my brother, I was house sitting at Hillbank at my niece's, and I rang him up out of the blue. I don't even know why I did, but I guess I do, because my time was coming. I went to church with him, to this little church. I went off to church with him 3 weeks in a row on Sunday morning. And the 3rd Sunday we came home and we were sitting around the table having lunch, and I said to my brother, I don't know what it is, but there was something different in church today. I felt different. Well, later on that afternoon, my brother's best friend, Trevor, and his wife, Gail, asked did we want to go to, there was a person ministering at Paradise Church, and an American. His name was Johnny Lee Clary. He used to be the head of the Ku Klux Klan. Through his testimony, it really got to my heart. If God could change him, what could he do with me? So I gave my heart to the Lord. And gradually down the road, he has shown me something different. He has shown me so many things. Things where I haven't always been right, and he's shown me. But that is the difference. One day I said to the Lord, let me make a difference. Lord, please let me make a difference. I have one granddaughter, and I have seen her go through a lot of turmoils in her life. I've seen her be a little girl that didn't feel loved and wanted, pushed in a room, been abused by men, taking drugs to think she's forgetting it, hiding in a room so her mother doesn't know. I spoke a prayer. I said, Lord, please, Lord, open your arms and let Alicia run to you. I seen the turmoil and pain that she was going through, and I couldn't do anything about it, but he could. And 6 weeks after that, she gave her heart to the Lord. From a little girl who was getting D's and U's, she has just come through her exams with 6 A's, and I thank God for that. Because only God, it's been the first year in her high school years that she has not lost one day at school. I went down, as I was going through my walk with the Lord, he was showing me different things, and the biggest thing is to forgive. If you can forgive somebody who does something bad to you, you are only going to get good back. I know that because I've seen it. I've experienced it. I went down to ask my son to forgive me if there was anything in his life I'd ever done. I just wanted him to forgive me. It didn't matter that he didn't. It was up to him. I told him it was in his hands. He could do with what I'd spoken, with what he wanted to do with it, he could do it. From me going and asking his forgiveness, my daughter-in-law came to church on the Sunday morning. I hadn't asked her. She had just wanted to go. She just felt it that she wanted to go to church, and so she came to church. But it was not Wade was trying to stop her from coming to church, but through her obedience of going to church, giving her heart to the Lord, my son has rededicated his life to the Lord, and the Lord has changed so many things in their life. The Lord told me once that you and your household will all stand under this one roof. From me being obedient to the Lord, going to Wade to ask him for forgiveness. And from their obedience, my daughter has given her heart to the Lord, my granddaughter. God has just changed our whole family. He never stops working. You ask for something and he's given it, but it's not particularly straight away in front of you. He does. It might be because you're not ready to accept it. He has things to change in you. You know, each one of us, different things. And it's fine sitting back and saying, oh, I'm getting it right, Lord. I'm getting it right. You know, you can fix him up, or you can fix your daughter up, you can fix whoever up. But that's not what it's all about. It's you that it's you. It's your life. It's what he wants you to do with your life. And if he can change my life, he can surely do it for you. Through all of Barbara's life's bitternesses and tears, through all her struggles, disappointments and fears, Jesus has been there to see her through. If he has done it for her, he will do it for you. Jesus is interested in the beginning, the middle and the end of your life, and he wants to help you through the trials and struggles of this life. But most of all, he wants to spend eternity with you. Will you take his hand this day as he reaches out his hand to you?
If so, this simple prayer, said with a sincere heart, will open the door to a journey with him.